In this video, I'm going to show you how to turn these junk mail or used envelopes into this beautiful folio or journal. I'll be using the new Bees and Butterflies collection from Paper Rose Studios to create this journal. But of course, you can use whatever you have in your stash. Hi, this is Anna of Crafty Anna Studio. Welcome to my YouTube channel where I post paper crafting and card making tutorials. But first, let's take a quick look at the 12 by 12 Bees and Butterflies Basics collection. This collection has 12 double-sided pattern papers, 2 of each of the 12 designs, and it's printed on 200 GSM paper. Let's do a quick flip through. First of all, you have the front page, and you can use this for cut aparts as well. And when you flip it over, you have a whole bunch of sentiments which you can use on your projects. Then there's the cut aparts page. You can cut this down and use it for tags or journaling spots or even for cards. On the flip side, you have a lovely whitewashed wood planks design, and at the bottom you have a decorative strip which you can cut down to use as accents in your project. This one is a repeating pattern of lots of bees. And on the other side, you have a lovely design of a beehive, flowers, and a bee. And on the upper left, you have a honeycomb pattern. And this one is one of my favorites, beautiful yellow flowers with butterflies. And on the flip side, you get a yellow gingham pattern. Here's another sheet with an image of beautiful flowers and bees. And on the other side, yellow polka dot pattern. This sheet has a repeating pattern of jars of honey. And on the other side is another one of my favorites, a gorgeous flower pattern. This one has a grid with some flowers on the side. And on the flip side, a green gingham pattern. Then there's 6 more pages of repeated designs. Aside from the 12 by 12 pattern paper, I also use these embossed die cuts. There are 4 designs, 1 sheet of each design. They are already pre-cut and connected with some tabs, and they are also embossed. You can see that they are slightly raised and have a shiny finish. There's a sheet with a balloon, florals, and some bees and a hive. This one is tags, a bookplate design, and some bees and butterflies. This one is more tags, butterflies, another beehive, and some strips of pattern. And the last one is also tags with a jar of honey and bees and some flowers. I'll be using some of this for the journal that I'll be creating today. So let's get started. I have here 4 envelopes. These are used envelopes, legal size envelopes, and I'm going to use this to create the base of the journal. I'll take one of the envelopes and I'm going to flip the flap towards the front and add some glue on the flap. Don't mind all the scribbles on the envelopes. These are not going to show in the folio. So I'm adding glue on the flap and then I'm going to insert it inside another envelope. And then I'm going to fold it in to make sure they're all nice and even and then press down until it's glued. Then I'm going to take another envelope and do the same thing. Flip the flap over to the front, add glue on the flap, then insert it again into the envelope. Then I will fold it in to make sure everything is even, and then I'll press down to make sure everything is adhered properly. So I've created like a little book. So now I'm going to take the last envelope, but instead of flipping the flap over to the front, I'm just going to add glue, and this will be the page that will fold over to make it a trifold. Then I'm going to glue the flap to the back of the last page of this journal or folio. Once I have it aligned, I'm going to close it up, line everything up, and then press down to make sure everything sticks together well. So now I've created a trifold folio with an extra flap inside and two pockets on either side. Then to finish it off, I'm just going to add glue to the back flap and glue it down. And that's it. It's all done. So it's quite simple. Now you have a folio that has a flap on the inside and a cover that folds over in a trifold design. Next, I scribbled some notes on the envelopes to help me decide what I wanted to do for each page. So this one is the cover, then this one is the inside cover, and on the left side is a pocket. Now this pocket I will cut diagonally. First I measured 5 inches from the bottom and then drew a diagonal line. And for the top, I'm going to cut this out, leaving a half an inch allowance from the edge. Now this one will have 2 pockets, but I'm going to change my mind later on. And this one will have 3 pockets. And this area will be the journaling spot. And on the left is going to be another pocket, cut the same way as the inner pocket of the front cover. This is the first time I'm making this journal. So you see my thought process, and I'm going to make some mistakes along the way. Off camera, I've already cut the pattern paper into 4 inches by 12 inches, and I'm going to trim it later on when I start putting them together. These are the papers that I chose for the journal. I've cut them down to about the same size, 4 inches by 12 inches. I also cut the strips here, which I will use for the journal. And I have the die cuts here in a little baggie. And I also have an oval frame here with scalloped edges, which I will use for the cover. Speaking of cover, I've already chosen all the elements that I need to design my cover, including this book plate, which I got from the die cuts pack, and this scalloped oval frame die, which is from Paper Rose. Before I glue down all my elements, I'm going to ink up the edges with Distress Oxide Rusty Hinge. This color goes so well with the collection because it's sort of like a mustardy color that give the edges a very nice finish. Of course, inking up the edges is entirely optional. I just like to do this because I think it just gives it a finished look. If you want to skip this step, it's entirely up to you. Next, I'll ink up the strip as well. Then I'll ink up the edges of the ephemera piece. Off camera, I'm going to ink up all the rest of the elements. And then I'll come back when it's all done. Now it's time to put all of this together. I will make a small collage of ephemera pieces as a design for the cover. I will add a generous amount of glue to the back of this gingham pattern, which I cut down to fit the front of the envelope. I won't be applying glue to this section. I'm leaving it glue-free so I can add the ribbon closure later. After adding the glue, I'm going to place it down on the front of the envelope, leaving an 1/8 of an inch border all around. Next, I will add the green pattern strip on the left side. Then I will take the oval scallop frame piece and place it right below the book plate. The book plate is not glued down yet. It's just there for placement. I already added thin pieces of foam tape to the back of the frame just to raise it off the page a little. Next, I will add the inside piece. This won't be seen after I place all the other elements, but I'm putting it in there anyway. This ephemera piece from the Embossed Die Cuts pack will be placed here. but I will add some dimension behind first. I have these foam squares which I will add to the corners of this piece and will add some in the middle as well. I will remove the release paper, then place it down on top of the oval frame at a slight angle. Then I will add this cluster of flowers to the bottom, plus a tab at the side to complete the collage. I find that making these collages with ephemera pieces quite challenging. For some of you, it might come naturally, but for me, it takes a lot of trial and error. Let me know in the comments below which one you are. I will add foam tape on the book plate ephemera and will place it right above the collaged elements. Then I will use a black sign pen later to write the word journal. Next, I will work on this pocket at the back of the cover. I'll take my scissors and cut along the diagonal line that I marked off earlier. I'll cut it all the way to the end. Then I switch to a larger pair of scissors and cut off the upper part of the envelope pocket, leaving about half an inch allowance from the edge. This will give it a more polished look after I add the pattern paper. I am using this yellow piece of pattern paper, which is from the Paper Rose Summer Basics collection. This is just a leftover from another project. For the pocket itself, I'll use this green gingham pattern. I place the paper inside the pocket, and with this pencil, I will trace an outline of the pocket. Then I will cut it out using scissors. And then trim the edge just a little using a paper trimmer. Off camera, I inked up the edges, and now I'll glue them down. First, the backing of the pocket. Added glue at the back of the piece, then insert it inside the pocket. Make sure the sides are aligned and then press down. Then I will glue down the green gingham pattern paper to the front of the pocket. Next, I will glue down the inner cover. I chose one of my favorite pattern papers in the Bees and Butterflies pack for this one. I open this to the inner flap and will use this gorgeous flower pattern as the design. I was supposed to add two pockets to this page as per my original plan, but like I said earlier, I changed my mind. I decided to add a vellum pocket instead. So off camera, I cut this out of vellum and scored it on three sides. I made a mistake in measuring out the scored lines. So if you look closely, you will see a double scored line. But in the end, it won't be noticeable after everything is put together. Now, before I glue down the pocket, I will miter the corners. Here you can see my scoring mistake. After mitering the corners, I will punch a notch in the middle of the vellum pocket. It's not necessary, but I thought it would be a nice addition. But before I glue this gorgeous paper down to the envelope, I will glue the vellum pocket. I will do that by gluing down the tabs at the back of the pocket. The really nice thing about this envelope journal is that you can customize it any way you want. All you need to do is just change the pattern paper and the ephemeras. You can even do this with any size envelope. You can use this for swaps, a gift for any occasion. You can even make it a travel journal for a specific trip. Let me know in the comments below what you think you would use this for. After adhering the vellum pocket to the pattern paper piece, I will now glue it down to the envelope. So this is how it's looking so far. I think it's coming together really well. Like I said, this is the first time I'm making this sort of thing. Now for the most challenging part of this whole journal, making the three pockets on the other side of this flap. But before anything else, I'm going to add this piece of scrap to the inner part of the envelope to even out the opening. I also divided the envelope into three parts by adding a line division with a pencil. I didn't measure this, I kind of eyeballed it. Then I divided it further by adding another line across the pocket itself. Here's one pocket opening, the second pocket opening, and then the third pocket opening. I will place my T-ruler on top and pause the video so you can take a screenshot of the measurements. So, to reiterate, I first divided into three equal parts by adding a line across 1 and 2. Then I divided it further to create the pockets about 2 inches above each line. Don't worry, this will all make sense later on. Then I will cut each line I made. First, I will cut the lines of where the pocket openings will be. Then later you will see I will cut the rest of the lines. Right now, I'm in the I'm winging it stage of the project. So this is pocket number 2 and then pocket number 3. Next, I'm going to even out the opening to make it straight. And for that, I will bring out my trusty old T-ruler. I will run a line all the way down with a pencil to make it nice and straight. Then I will use a pair of scissors to cut it along the line that I made. I switch to smaller scissors for the more fiddly areas. Here is what it looks like all cut out. It looks a bit messy and confusing, but please stay with me. It will all make sense once we start putting it together. Off camera, I cut pieces of pattern paper that will fit inside of the pocket. They measure approximately 2.5 inches tall and about 3 3/4 of an inch wide. And for the front pocket, approximately 2 inches by 3 3/4 of an inch. I inked the edges and now I will show you how to create the pockets. I'll start with the bottom pocket. First, I will glue down the pattern paper on the front of the bottom pocket. I am using offcuts or scraps. This one is the pattern on the other side of the gorgeous floral paper. Next, I will add the backing of that pocket. I added glue to the back and also to the upper part of the bottom pocket. Then I will insert that piece into the pocket and press down. I will add glue to the backer piece as well. I will then add a thin bead of glue to the side and press down for a second or so, and this becomes pocket number 1. Then I will repeat for the second pocket. Glue down the front of the second pocket, Flip it open and add the backer piece. Then add a thin bead of glue to the side and the bottom to close it off. This is now pocket number 2. Pocket number 3 is the same process. I hope that I'm able to explain this properly considering that I'm doing this for the very first time. I really enjoy making these types of videos, and I'm really hoping that this gets to a wider audience. If you're not subscribed yet, please subscribe and hit the like button as well. And leave a comment if you can. I put a lot of effort into these videos, and I really hope I get to reach more people, and you can certainly help me out. Thank you so much for your support. Back to the tutorial. The 3 pocket page is done. I can't believe it came out so well. Next, I will cut out this pocket the same way I did the other one on the inside cover. I then glue the rest of the pattern paper. First, the area where the journaling spot will be. Then the outside of the pocket. I'm using a yellow gingham pattern for this. And then last but certainly not least, for the back of the pocket, this beautiful pattern paper with a floral cluster at the top. Off camera, I will add the ribbon for the closure and make all the tags and ephemera pieces to put inside the journal. Now let's do a flip through of the finished journal. For the closure of my journal, I used a striped organza ribbon. I inserted it on the area where I did not glue down, right here. And my organza journal is doubled up. One is a shorter piece and another is a longer piece. I just used a ribbon from my scrap ribbon pile. You know, the ones that come in from gifts. I wrote journal with a pen and I added a couple of baubles on the side of this bookplate. On the inside back cover, I have a cut apart and a tag tucked into the pocket. I also decorated it with an embossed die cut of a jar of honey and this thingy. I don't even know what it's called. Let me know if you know what it's called. For the inside cover, I have this beautiful floral pattern paper. I decided to keep it blank. I flip it open and on the back side is another pocket with a cut apart and another tag, and I decorated the pocket with a beehive. In the middle flap, we have a vertical vellum pocket. You can tuck a journaling page here, and if it's a travel journal, maybe a boarding pass as a keepsake. But for now, I added 2 cut aparts held together with a paper clip. I flipped this page to the other side to reveal the 3 pockets. I'm super proud of this one. I still can't believe I just winged it. Pockets 1, 2, and 3, and I just added tags. Finally, we get to the last part. Here, I added a die-cut cluster of flower glued only at the bottom to make it a tuck spot. As for the ribbon closure, one part is shorter than the other. I didn't measure it. I just wrapped it around like this to estimate the length I needed in order to tie it into a ribbon. Here is the back part. I just added pattern paper, but not before stamping it with my logo at the bottom. I hope you are inspired to give this a try. If you're interested in the papers I used from Paper Rose Studios, I have it linked in the video description below. Paper Rose Studio is based in Australia, but they do ship to the United States, the UK, and other parts of the world. Do check them out. In the meantime, have a wonderful crafty day. Till next time, bye!